Hi, this is Osman. I'm an energy healer, yoga and meditation teacher, as well as an entrepreneur. Be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com. And please know that we are offering natural therapies based on the ancient sciences and combining with, modern advancements in science together. But these are all natural methods of treatment and not a replacement for medical treatment, right? If you have an illness, please consult a qualified and licensed medical practitioner in your locality, right? That being said, I want to answer or address the question of what is chi or prana. So we do energy healing using or manipulating a subtle energy called chi or prana. And what exactly is this, and how can one, who is not expert in it, a everyday person, be able to harness this power, right? This is the more important question. So this to understand what is chi, you have to understand what is a living entity or a human. For example, what is your construct? So, according to the ancient sciences, you consist of 5 layers. The primary layer is your physical body layer. Your secondary layer is the subtle life force energy layer, which forms part of the quantum physics ambit, where it's not a physical particle nor something that can be viewed or experimented on with current physical instruments. It is not a wave, not as like a cellular or microwave that can be physically felt, nor is it a particle. It has neither a wave nature nor a particle nature, but it can assume the properties of both wave and particles as well. It can interchangeably react and has as the capacity to be controlled by thought or mind, right? So this is how energy healers, they learn how to increase, or control the subtle energy with their mind. And this is how they increase the energy within themselves through balancing the energies and increasing, the energies in them and transferring their energy, their balanced energy, to the person who's ill, which is one of these causes of illness is an imbalance in the controlling energy, because the energy is superior to your body and has a controlling effect in your physiology. And if the physiology is not well or imbalance, usually by balancing that which is superior can bring about a balance in the physiology. But this is not the only way. Sometimes there is external circumstances that is causing the imbalance. Like there could be a physical thorn that's being pushed into, maybe under your foot. You have to remove that thorn. All the energy healing is not going to help you when the physical thorn is there. So I'm using the term thorn because it is easier illustration, to understand it. But the word thorn represents something which you're physically putting into you that is harmful, either voluntarily, willfully, or involuntarily, or unconsciously, or against your will, right? So, like the pollutants in the environment, right? The plastic, present in everything that we're breathing, and the synthetic fabrics that we are, that is harmful, that's touching our skin and entering our bloodstream through the skin. These are things we don't know about that is entering and causing, harm, and the causing massive imbalance in your physical body, the homeostasis or the balance of your physical functioning of your body, which is bringing up a lot of illnesses. And the energy, subtle life force energy, is also getting depleted because it's directly related to that. So one of the things that, ways in which you can, improve, the subtle life force energy in you, in your body, is firstly is trying to decrease that which is harmful to your physical body, right? because when you're creating more negative impact on your body, you're impacting on the limited energetic resource that is able to address that that problem. So by reducing the drain on your energy, you automatically solving more than 50% of your problem. Half the problem is to avoid that harmfulness as far as practically possible. So things that you could avoid is like overly stressing, or the method with which you think. Don't dwell too long on problems that you cannot change, or situations you cannot, especially things of the past and things of the future. Don't be over anxious and try to anticipate every possible solution for what may happen, and very likely more than 80% of the time may never happen. Right? Take necessary precautions of what is could be harmful, which is responsible for you to take these precautions, and don't live in that by micromanaging every possible outcome of the future, and micromanaging every possible incident that happened negatively in your past that you can't change, and try to live more in the present, so your psychology will have a lower impact, will decrease the impact on the drain on your subtle life force energy, which is responsible for keeping your physical body in a state of balance and harmony. So why am I specifically talking on the psychology aspect is because it's scientifically shown that 80 70 to 80% of ailments or illnesses can have some attribution to stress or the state of mind, right? It's not the only cause, but can be attributed that if you have a tool that can better manage your psychology or your mind or your stress levels, then you will significantly reduce the potential for illnesses or the potential for you to overcome illnesses. And this is why energy healing is so powerful, because it provides that boost to what is sorely lacking due to so much of damage that you are exposed to, especially with free radical damage, exposed to all the harmful waves and the pollutants and the preservatives and the chemical additives, and the poisonous elements that you are breathing into, from the air and consuming in your foods, in addition to consuming the poisonous substances themselves in its purest form, in the form of drugs and harmful, excessive amounts of harmful and highly processed foods. We can't live without them, right? Because we are in a population level of 8 billion. Can you stop processing foods? There'll be no food. I don't think natural foods alone and organic foods alone is sufficient. There needs to be industrialization and efficiency of bringing foods and preserving foods, so that every person has access to affordable foods, right? And so there needs to be that balance. So coming back to the energy, the subtle life force energy, when you consume living foods, like less processed, more in its natural forms, and not overly cooked foods, right? And of course not undercooked foods, because especially when you come to certain meats and certain products needs to be properly cooked in order to prevent the harmful microorganisms from, and the harmful pests, from invading your system. But when it comes to like plant and vegetable, the vegetable kingdom, it's good not to overcook, to keep them fresh and crunchy, and prepare them freshly for each meal if possible, or for each day, or as close as possible to when you're going to start consuming it, as opposed to preparing something, in the early morning for the evening. Prepare in the evening just before you can have it. So, to have them as freshly prepared, as possible, because plants or food has got life force energy in it. And this is what, so of course it's got the vitamins and minerals, but it's not only the vitamins and minerals that's going to help you, but also the subtle life force energy present in it. And it's something which is destroyed by cooking or overcooking, right? Overcooking completely depletes it. Cooking it within, limited, or we'll say, in a balanced way, where you're not overcooking it and not undercooking it, and freshly cooked, you retain some of the, or the life force energy, and you can imbibe that, and you'll find your energy levels will improve when you're having wholesome foods, right, from its natural sources. So there's a lot of negativity when it comes to, the media on, processed and highly refined foods and so forth. So try to reduce, that you can't, totally eliminate it, but try to include something fresh. Like have a fresh salad together with your meal. Have, a portion of your plate that's got fresh fruit, foods, or from the plant and vegetable kingdom, a variety, right? And consume unprocessed, original form of nuts, right? So as opposed to having roasted and salted nuts, have whole um, walnuts, for example, right? As opposed to spiced. I'm not saying don't have spice, but once you roast, something that you are killing the life force energy. So you are tapping into more of that life force energy, which is going to cause an improvement and an increase in your own subtle life force energy, which is going to, over a very short space of time, within 24 to 48 hours, you're going to feel an improvement in your energy levels, right? So when you start consuming more raw foods, in your diet, you'll find that you, especially from the plant and vegetable kingdom, you're going to find that you're going to add more fiber to your diet, and you're going to also add more minerals, micronutrients, which is lacking. This is a big problem in the diet. It's not just the macros, it's not just your protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and your broader vitamins. It's the micronutrients, your calcium, your selenium, your magnesium, and coming from natural sources comes in a balanced way and gets absorbed in a balanced way into your body. If you consume it, as a supplement, it is in an unnatural form and can cause imbalance if you self-diagnose. You have to consume these supplements under supervision of a medical professional, right? Or someone qualified in this field. So coming back to the subtle life force energy and how you can tap into it is by consuming more fresh foods in its wholesome nature, even like animal foods. If you can have freshly slaughtered animals, right, that was slaughtered by yourself, or you're purchasing it from a source that is not frozen for a year, not some meat that was imported and had been frozen, for like months on end, that it came from a certain farm that livestock, and freshly, sold, and you're going to be able to access the life force energy and feel the strength, of the food, because the food also needs to be filled with the living energy. Okay. And that's why they found that even when one consumes eggs, that it has a massive improvement in your testosterone levels, for example, or your muscle building hormone when consumed half done or raw, right? The yellow of the egg. So it's not that it's the cooking that causing the problem, only, but also it still has the living life force energy in it, right? To supply the growing embryo, that's going to hatch into a chicken, right? Into a chick, and then grow into a chicken. So you're getting the raw energy together with the life force energy, the subtle life force energy. So try to consume foods, wholesome foods, in its original form as far as possible, and on a daily basis. Definitely you're going to make a change just by adding one apple a day, for example, to your diet. It's going to go a long way to creating a major change in your life. So I'm not forcing you to eat apples. Maybe it's something you hate, something from that you like, that is fresh, and slowly build on that, and as opposed to having processed juices, make the juice freshly yourself, from whole fruits, and consume it, or have a smoothie, right? Because removing the fiber is not very healthy. The fiber is very important, equally as important as the nutrients, because having just the nutrients without the fiber can be harmful to your body as well, right? So that's my one perspective on the subtle life force energy, and hope this information helps you. Be sure to visit my website, yogawellness786.com, and take care of yourself always.